everybody a few minutes to get in here. And we'll get started. Hi. How's everybody tonight, this morning, depending on where you are? Going to be doing a 12-inch Zenarian. I'm going to do it out of cherry. Cherry's easy to turn, especially for beginners. It's very easy hardwood to work with, so I'm going to do that. So it shouldn't be too awful long. I'm going to do a CA finish on it, so it goes pretty quick, and then I'm going to assemble the whole thing and everything, so it will be a finished pin holder when we're done. So nope, cherry, not walnut. Alright, we'll get started. First we're going to chuck it up in the lathe. And I won't be able to talk a whole lot just because I really like all my body parts, so I'd rather pay attention to what I'm doing than the screen. Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad. That's awesome. Yes, I'll be putting it on YouTube. So I know now how to save it onto my phone, so I'll be able to upload it to YouTube. So new to this whole Periscope thing. Okay, so we're going to get started here, and I will like I said, I won't be able to talk a whole lot, but you can watch. So it's pretty crazy to watch a 12-incher made. So here we get going. We're going to start, and I'm going to be running at 3,600 RPM. Yes, that is fast. There we go. A lot longer, so I got to make several cuts. Basically got it round, so I got to start taking it down to size now. Largest diameter of the pin, which is a 1/2 inch in diameter. Okay, we'll start to shape the foot. very small diameter. This is 5/16, which is tiny compared to most pin holders. Hi, Gail. Basic shape. Here I scrape to start the general shape of the handle. Now I start taking it down a lot. Because I'm going to be going so thin on the tail, there's a lot of support with this left hand holding the tail, because I've got to support it as I turn it. So until you've done a lot of pins and built up calluses, it's going to be very difficult. As I get thinner, I take smaller cuts, not as aggressive. And a lot of this is just based off of trial and error. You break a lot. See my tailstock starting to slow down. It's getting so thin and so little weight pushing on it, it has no way to keep up. So before this is done, it will probably be absolutely still. Because even at this thinnest point, I got to get it about twice as thin as what it is right now. nervous? This isn't even the scary part yet. It's been, now, knock on wood, I haven't broke one in a while. So, of course, since I'm doing it live, this will probably be the time it does happen. If you're newer to turning, at this point you could grab sandpaper, real rough grit, and go for it, but it's much slower. So if you can build up the ability to do it this thin, that's funny, John. Alright, I gotta start paying attention here. Quit looking at the screen. Alright, we're starting to get a little bit wobbly here, as you can see. The key is just learning the angle and going slow, taking thin cuts, and having really nice calluses helps tremendously. We're going to end up being probably about 11 3/4 or so by the time it's done. Okay, now we're going to scrape. Pretty soon I'll start with sandpaper. I've got it about down to 1/8 of an inch or so. I'm trying to go a little bit less. Because the more you can use a chisel, the faster it is. The other key is having very, very sharp tools. When we get done, I got some toothpicks. We'll see, compare it. The wind, this wood will bend quite a bit. Here. That's because it's balanced. The wood moisture content's balanced. Right now, we're at about 1/8 of an inch. It's a pretty stable piece of wood. So I'll scrape a little bit more. Does this sound annoying? Alright. I'm going to start sanding now. We've got some 50 grit sandpaper. And I'll start sanding her out a little bit thinner. Put some shape to it. Yeah, I rolled up my sleeves because my hands are closer to the lathe, and I have an old flannel I wear in the shop, and I don't want it to catch in anything. I think losing an arm on Periscope would be cool. It's a no-no to wear long sleeves in a lathe, but hey. Getting thinner. Not as delicate as you would think. Actually, one time did a YouTube video for a giveaway where I took one of these and broke them, the tail. And you can watch that video. It's pretty crazy how much it bends before it breaks. See, we're probably about, I'm getting 30-second scale out now. 330 seconds, a little bit more. Starting to get a final shape. Now using 120 grit. Oh yeah, it's much thinner than a chopstick. To give you an idea, it's basically the same size as a toothpick. I mean, this is a tiny bit larger. Most of the shaping done, so I'm going to work on the finial a bit. Can't take this too much yet, but I want to start a basic shape. This is the hairy part. There's some basic shape to the finial. grits. I'm going to go to 600 on this part. Now the key to getting it this thin is controlling the heat, because two things makes wood bend. One is moisture and one is heat. So if I sanded this so much that it got hot in this section, it would end up warping and twisting in the direction the grain's going. Now I've selected a piece with very straight grain so that it stays straight, but still heat would cause it to bend. So if you're sanding, you want to do it move a lot to keep it cool so that it doesn't end up being a bent tail. That one. Okay, down to 600 now. Now normally especially on longtails, I lacquer them. Most of the time nitrocellulose lacquer, but for Periscope I'm going to do CA on this one because it's quick and you can actually watch the whole thing, because finishing it is pretty much instantaneous. Alright, gonna shut her off, take a look at it now. There it is, pretty thin. So next we're going to start applying the CA finish. Turn the speed down to about 1,000 RPM. The lacquer's historical for me, no other reason. Plus lacquer, if you ever have to repair it, it's much, the finish will melt with the old finish. So it kind of melts together. I buy in bulk. Instabond is what I use. Use flexible most of the time because I use this on the watch parts. So, and then there is rare occasions when I'm in a hurry to get a pin done for someone that needs it in a rush or whatever, and I will CA it. But it just varies. Now you can see a color difference too, and the wood, you can start to see grain in it. That's what happens as soon as you apply the sealer on there. Alright. Going with medium now, and just put on a paper towel, wipe it on, and then instant hardener. Is there a difference in finish texture of what compared to what? Lacquer compared to CA? Yes, the cherry will darken because it's not UV protectant. What's the other thing is some of the lacquers I use have UV protectant, but not complete protectant. It's resistant, which helps keep its color. There's a little bit of a feeling difference. You would know if you had the two in front of you as far as lacquer versus CA. CA feels a little bit more plastic feeling, where lacquer is more natural. My preference of, do you mean brand name? I like, the stuff I use is commercial. So it's PPG is the manufacturer of the lacquers I buy, which I'm sure there's a way to get it, but it's most of the time bought with a business type license. It's not usually something you can run out and pick up. I have a local source here that carries PPG, and I actually know a guy that works there, and he's involved in the chemistry end of it, sorta. So he helped me out a lot on selecting what will work with wood and everything. All I'm doing is building up a bunch of coats of CA. I'm not wearing a respirator right now, John. But you should wear a respirator. Have to talk to you like I do my kids. Do as I say, not as I do. The spray is, it's hard to talk with a respirator. I normally do wear a dust mask. It's for wood turning. What I'm spraying on it is, it's an activator for super glue, CA glue. And what it does is, as soon as I'll show you how quickly it works. It instantly sets up CA glue. So right now the CA's on there, it's wet. I'm going to spray this. It's already dry. Won't stick. Basically super glue, the chemistry in it, it boils the moisture out. That's why fumes of it will burn your nose. It's not actually burning your nose, it's the fumes boiling the moisture in your nose when you smell it. Yeah, this is just a little wad of paper towel. I take little chunks of paper towel, fold them up so it doesn't stick to my fingers. Squirt a little bit on, and then just apply it on there. And once that's, I use little pieces because once you've used it, it's pretty much trash at that point. Do another. Another layer or two of CA. And that should be good because this is a thicker viscosity CA because you can buy it in different thicknesses. When I do use it, I use thin and medium. And I just build up more coats of medium. They make a thick too, but it's so thick, I just prefer to put a few extra coats of medium on rather than deal with a really thick. Okay, so now we got the start of being shiny. The next part will be to wet sand it and actually make it shiny. First I'm going to take my parting tool, part this off a little bit. Make sure I put my bevel back on there. Start wet sanding. Cover the bed of the lathe so it doesn't rust. What I'm doing is actually got a cup of water. I'm dipping the sandpaper in the water before I use it. Interesting. I'm going to hit there we go. Alright, starting with 600. And all I'm doing is getting the major bumps out. This is the most important part of the finish, is the wet sanding process. This is what makes it shiny. This is what makes it smooth and pretty. That's the case no matter how good your equipment is or spray equipment, you're never going to lay a perfectly smooth surface. So wet sanding is important. Super saw. All of my pins, for the most part, come in one of my pin boxes. So I have a long pin box that it goes in. It's wood. You'll see it, but at the end I'll grab one and we'll set it on it so you can see what it is. And that was actually the reason for me getting pin. I started making them myself first. I was silk screening them the whole thing, but it was just too time consuming. I couldn't keep up, so I now have them manufactured for me, made by hand by a guy. And the 12-inch pin is why I started having them made, just because of fear of breaking during shipping, you know, if it was run over or whatever. Okay, so there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off any moisture, because I want to look. It's the important part. Let's see. That's bad. That's why you never hold on to it tightly. Had I been holding on to that tight, that would have broke. Okay, what I'm looking for is glossy areas on the pin. Everything should be a dull finish, because I've sanded it now with 600, so everything is dull. There's no glossy parts, which means everything's sanded smooth. It feels smooth to the hand. That's the most important part. So, and we'll move on. Now I'm using, these are micro mesh pads. They run from 1500 grit to 12,000 grit. And wet sanding with this is what's going to make it super, super shiny. So you just go one step at a time. Move on to the next grit. Now I'm running at about 1100 RPM. As I increase grits, I'll increase speed, because sanding a finish, a wet sanding a finish, all you're doing is putting finer and finer scratches in the finish. If you looked at it microscopically, it would look horrible, but you're just doing finer scratches until it looks smooth to the naked eye and feels smooth to the hands. Bumped up the speed a little bit to 1400. Is that what it's like giving a manicure? Okay, we're nearing the end, so speed it up a little bit. Right now we're at like 6,000 grit. Now I'm at 8,000 grit. And 12,000. This is a final step, so I do it a little bit more. It's going to squeak. It's an annoying sound, but part of it. Okay, so now it should be all shiny and pretty. Take a look at it before I do any more. There's a little kink in there, but that's from the pressure of the tailstock. So that will be straight once I take it out. And looking to make sure it's all shiny, glossy. It's going to get shinier than that. Alright, next we're going to part it off. Take care of the finial shape. This is where it gets pretty wild. thing's going to be spinning free, only attached on one end of the lathe. Yeah, if you're doing a pin for the first time, this can be where it breaks very easily. But just take your time. And then we're going to sand and shape this finial while it's on the lathe spinning. And then I'll apply a coat of CA. And I'm just making a little itty bitty finial on this one. Pressure on it. Okay, let's part it off. Now, if the pin is made with a nice piece of wood, there should be very little movement here like this. This isn't much, so it's not whipping around. So right now, this pin's spinning at 1500 RPM, but staying that straight. Now I'm going to take sandpaper and I'm going to do some final shaping to this finial shape. Even if I increase the speed, it should stay pretty much right there. I mean, here you can turn it up. We're at 2000 RPM now, and it's still staying pretty centered. So that means I did what I was supposed to. Yeah, over drills on the lathe. That's hilarious. Finial, just put some thin CA on, I'll buff it out. I try to reuse these old scraps for things like this. Okay. And a little kink here in the tail. I'll have to look at that. It's not that bad, but we can fix it. Okay, now we're going to cut it off. And we will take it over and buff it. And I'm doing this backwards because I got a camera mount in my way. Okay, so I now have pin, and you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm gonna move camera around with me to take it over to the buffing area. So here we go. Use two different buffing wheels for it. I use a brown Tripoli and a white diamond. And this is where it gets really, really shiny. Lighting's not the best right here. And I start buffing. And you can see the reflection of the light starting to get shiny. Have to put much pressure. You're letting the buffing compound do the work as it goes over it. Oh yeah, this is a very simple pin because it's just a single wood. So this is as simple as it gets. So when you get into segmenting, you've got many hours in it, especially, and then lacquer finishing takes a lot longer. Okay, we're going to go over to the white diamond paste. Will give it that mirror finish. Now you can see it's trying to get this so there's a good angle. But you can see it's really finished. Okay, so we have it buffed out now. And the heat from that wheel took that little kink out of the tail. So that little kink I had on the end is now gone just because heat was applied by buffing it out. So get out of the light. We'll now move over to the bench so I can slot it, and then we'll make a flange for it. Whoops. Crazy. Okay, and what I do here is I look at it and I try to find the best looking side of the wood. I'm going to have to move it out of the camera so I can see, to make that side face up on an oblique. And it's hard to get focused. Anyhow, there's some really nice graining going on right there. Yeah, I finished the foot. I'll show you that next. That's last. Okay, so I want this little side up. So I'm going to turn this so it cuts the slot. And since a lot of times on my pins, what I do is I will actually cut the slot, not this steep, but at an angle like that, and that will force your nib up, pointed up, because everyone puts their flange in, and the first thing they do is turn it up and force the flange to not be straight, but to be at a slight angle up. So I'll actually cut that slot up, which avoids you having to adjust it. But on replicas like this, I cut it straight as they were. Slot and made it a little bit rough, so now I'm going to go back over to the buffer and I'm going to buff that little bit of saw marks out. So now it's smooth and pretty again. Okay, now we're going to go over to the other bench and assemble. Oh, what I use, okay. This is what I use to hold the pin. And what this is, it's a golf club vise. When you put new handles on golf clubs, this keeps it from getting scratched up. So I can clamp it in the vise as tightly as I want, and it's not going to damage the finish. Adjustment on this stand here. Give me a second. Sorry if I'm making you sick to your stomach. Okay, so here we are, and best things I use for holding my pins is this piece of egg crate, because it holds pins. If they have to dry, poke holes in it, can hold it upright. Foam's awesome. Egg crate's awesome. Okay, so now we're going to make the flange. This is it beforehand. I'm going to run over to the buffer real quick and leave you for a second rather than haul this back over there. I buffed all my flanges out. Okay, be right back. Let me buff this real quick. Okay, I'm back. What I did was I took that piece of metal and buffed it out because it just shows, it's the details that make all the difference. So now I've got a really pretty one. I just realized I need to laser engrave this. You guys want to see the laser work? You probably won't be able to see much because it's so bright. Tell you what, let me turn my laser on. All right, we're gonna engrave my logo on the back of this. We're gonna haul this camera somewhere. Now we're going into the other room. Hauling you all around my shop. Second to get everything turned on here. And yeah, tour time. Get this loose and we'll look at this for a second. This is my laser. It's a Tykma. It's a fiber laser. And it's all tied to my computer. So we're gonna get the software open. I'm just gonna hold this phone for now. Oops. Okay. Give me 1 second. There you go. You can see I'm in the process of trying to get all the laser designs I have set up for pictures on the website. So I have them all out. It's out of focus. There we go. Now it's in focus. So I've got them all laid out and I'm getting ready to photo them. Made a little pin stand for photoing. Chopped off the end of a pin or used a little scrap. Okay, laser software. So now we're going to open up my back logo. Everything's all set up here already, so this is going to go pretty quick. It's a class 1 laser, so you have a key. And I'm going to get the flange laid in here. This is probably, once I shut the shroud, you're not going to be able to see it. See how quick. This is just my little logo on the back of a flange. So here we go. That's it. So now we have a big blurry picture. And of course, you know what I did? I did it on the wrong side of the flange. Hold on. God. Getting another piece of metal. That's how it gets so intricate, yes, because the laser's doing it. It's, yeah. Bend a new flange. You know, Lindsay, I've thought about that actually trying to put some kind of workshop together for it. I've just never followed through with it. I don't know how many people would, I'm gonna cut just a second. I don't know how many people would actually attend. I mean, they'd have to come to my home in Indiana. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it. You can't see it, but my logo's on there really tiny. Okay, back to the bench. And we'll assemble this thing because we're almost done here. Alright, I got to buff this one out because new flange. Okay, so now I've got a shiny flange with the correct side having the logo and a big thread from the thing. Alright, I'm going to shape this flange. You probably all see me do this on the videos on YouTube. It goes pretty quick. I use a Leonard Principle nib for all my flanges. For rough shaping, because one, it's a medium length, it's also a medium arc, so it's easy to adjust to any other nib based on that to start with. Okay, get back in screen here. Okay, so we've got the flange. Now I can tell you that's not going to be enough. This will be a little bit more out than I typically would, but that's because it's a Zenarian. They're just, I mean, just a degree or so out. But it still will do center. That one? Connie? This is not my pin. Now can you tell whose pin it is? It's here for a new flange. One of the repairs. This is a Magnuson with a broken tail that I'm going to be repairing. Yes, it's Bill's. That was one of Bill's pins. Yep. This poor Magnuson's got all broke. I'm gonna fix him up. Okay, so I got that right. Now I'm going to drill the hole. And we will pin it. And since we're already in epoxy or in CA mode, don't normally do this, but I'm going to for this video because we're all standing here. I'm going to CA glue the pin in. So drop a CA on it. No, yours does not have a. You mean your original Zenarian, Lindsay? Yeah, it doesn't have a pin. They did a Zenarian mount, and I don't do Zenarian mounts, which is where they drill a hole through the center, down through the center, and then they shim it with a toothpick. This is a Dremel. They don't make it anymore. I'm going to be really sad when this quits because it's so convenient for doing just this. So it's a little itty bitty Dremel with a tiny drill bit in it. Okay, so now flange attached. Let me go out so it's a little bit more in focus. You can see this dude. It's pretty long, pretty shiny. Now, normally, I would have epoxy mixed up and all that, but it really doesn't matter for this, so we're just going to CA it. It's already all CA. Yeah, I'll put this up on YouTube. Alright, when we do CA, got these little things get in here with, sort of. God, I might have to hopefully stay in frame. Bear with me a second. This isn't the way I normally do it. Might have been easier just to mix up some epoxy. Epoxy I can wipe off. CA I can't, so I got to find a little itty bitty thin feed tube to put in this that'll fit in the hole. So there it is, holding it in place. I'm going to fill this little void because I don't want water to get in, and I also want to secure it. Thank you, Julie. And take a toothpick, smooth it out. Oops. And we'll fill in, now we're filling in the top cap. There's a lot of details in it. Another thing that this won't get that normally does because of this video is the fact that I don't even publish this. It's not, I mean, it's important to me, but the end of this I soak. It basically hangs in a fluid, and there's it's basically lacquer based, but it has other additives in it, and it draws up into the wood, and so about that far up into the foot is solid, kind of a resin type filled. It's filled all the voids, all the cavities, so this foot should never ever rot from getting in water, because we're dipping it in water all day long, water-based inks. The old pens would, and I have an exact one to show you here if I can get a good photo of it. There, look how wide that is. What's happened is this pen over the years has swollen from water penetration, and it's also softened, so the flange has rotted away at that wood. So that's why I don't do the Zenarian method, because the end of this is the end grain of your wood. The end grain of your wood is basically a bunch of little straws that will actually draw up moisture. So you put a drop of moisture on here, and even if it's upside down, it's going to suck the water up into the handle and will eventually cause this to crack, split, everything else. So I soak all of these for a few hours in this liquid that goes up inside of it. So just a little extra thing to make them last. Alright, so now I'm going to move over. Yeah, it's actually the weird thing about that stuff is the guy doesn't want me to share what it is, and I don't exactly know why. The guy that is a friend of mine, and I don't know if, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm wondering if it's based off of something else or what have you. I don't know. He just mixes it up for me, gives it to me, and it's done. Is that the case with another material? The antler, yes, I did. Now, I don't know, like your antler holder joy, I don't know if it penetrated like wood does, but I did do it. Okay, one of the last steps I do before I seal the end of the foot is I brand the end with my logo. Now it's a yoke. And back over. We're going to seal the foot up. All the foot I do with CA. Every single one gets CA on the end of it. And I'm just basically sealing it from any moisture penetration. So I'll do it once, and I'll do it twice, build up a good layer of it, because we want to keep all the moisture out we can. Yeah, CA is super glue. Don't make me say it. It's cryoacrylic. Oh, good lord. Cryanoacrylate, whatever. So, there it is. So, that's the pin. It's how you make a 12-inch. Don't know how long this took me. I didn't even pay any attention to the time, but this is a one piece, so there it is. I tell you what, since everybody's on here, want me to give it away to you guys? Let's see. New to this. Okay, we got what? 25 people on here? Is that right? Can anyone else tell? I think it's 25. Okay. All right, let me grab a piece of paper. Now this is probably going to go nuts, so I'm going to try my best to do it. I am going to, you can see my hand over here writing. I'm going to write a number between 1 and 50. And make sure I'm out of screen here. The closest, I'm going to flip the paper over. The closest to the number I guess between 1 and 50 without going over is going to get it. I'm trying to 18, 17, 22, 23, 34, 37, 32, 31. I'm trying to catch up. Give me another second. Okay. All right. I saw 2 people pick the number, so we're going to have a number guess. John, how many numbers did you guess? John, what was the first? John Lamb, what was the first number you picked? Okay. I saw someone say 33, and I think it was Lindsay. Is that who it was? I know you did, but you said it after the end. Yeah, there's 33. I thought you were the first that you said it. Okay, Lindsay, I have your email, so I will I'll shoot you. Well, actually, I'll just put it in the mail tomorrow to you because I have your address too. So there you go. And oh, here, hold on. I'll show you the box that it go in. And here's all the box they go in. It's a wooden slide top box. It's actually a tribute to the Zenarian style box. I hate Lindsay. That's horrible. Lindsay, pick a color while we're here. Which pin pouch color do you want? I just grabbed a few. Tan one? Okay, tan one is you. So you will get this pin. Good deal. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed this. It's kind of crazy. You don't get to see a 12-inch pin made very often. So, good deal. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming and joining me. Congrats, Lindsay. All right. Is this style holder a preference? It is. It's small. This is the Zenarian College made these, so this is a replica of it. So, and holder size is all a preference. All right. Well, thanks everybody. I'm gonna get off here. It's getting late where I am, so I'm probably done for the night turning. So have fun, John. All right, take it easy, everybody.